All right. I think you guys can hear me, right? Pretty well. Coming through okay? All right. Let's see here. All right. Good, good. All right, we're good. We are in session. We are in session. We are here. We are alive. We will not die. All right. So, let me see here. Perfect, perfect. No. Neely just says no. Okay. Awesome. Awesome, guys. All right. So, let's see here. Got 3 on Twitch, 2 on YouTube for now. See if it picks up a little bit, right? Then we can get to meandering as I usually do. Let's see here. I usually like to waste a little time by telling you guys how I'm doing on Saturdays. Sometimes it's fun to do, I guess. Let's see here. What's going on with me? Um. Ah. Hmm. Not much. Might have a job change type thing going on, so that'll be kind of cool. Um, it's kind of exciting. Hopefully, it'll work. As you guys know, the kind of work I'm doing right now, more currently, is like AI training stuff. And it's interesting work. But I might get put into this other type of project thing where, in the case of that one, I'm gonna be like looking at like more explicit content and like writing and stuff, and like stuff that's like very kind of like safety kind of oriented, and safety management oriented when it comes to chatbot type stuff. So that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be interesting. Hopefully it works. And yeah, I can only talk about it kind of generally because of various reasons, but yeah, it's interesting work, and hopefully this will be even more interesting because God knows I like to delve into the nitty gritty of things. I find it more interesting. Let me see here. Oh, look at that. We got a few on Twitch already. A couple on YouTube here. Okay, okay. Don't leave quite yet. That a lot. Today's going to be an incredibly depressing stream. I hope you're ready. It's not going to be a fun time at all, everyone. If you're here for a fun time, you're at the wrong place. You better just slowly back away, because today is not going to be a fun. Well, it might turn out to be fun. You know, you never know. But the content is not going to be very fun at all. And you know me, we don't always do fun on this stream. Sometimes we do, actual things that matter and are serious and fuck up your whole life as someone that's schizoid or schizoid adjacent. So, to any of you neurodivergent folks out there, autistic or schizo, you know how it be. Childhood is not exactly your friend. So, many of us didn't have the opportunity to have quite a childhood, did we? So, we'll see. We'll see. Let me see here. Let me turn this on. It's a little crazy, but enough for me to want to go. Let me turn this on. There we go. All right, so let's get started. There's like 10 people total across both Twitch and YouTube, so that's good enough for me. Good enough for me. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. As long as it reaches one heart. It reaches one heart, folks. It'll be enough for me. Anyway. Okay. So, first, I'd like to begin with telling you what the question of the week was. So, for those that don't know or never been here, or they're just watching this as a VOD for some ungodly reason, on Saturdays, well, usually on Wednesday or Thursday, I put a question on the Zoid Void, which is a Schizoid server, and once that's done, then People answer it in a section of the server called Dear Angst. I am Angst. And those submissions basically get funneled into an inbox that only I have access to, no one else, not my mods, not my dev, nobody, just little old me. Anything they put in there gets deleted after about a second and goes into the section where I can find it and see it. I'm the only one that can see who submitted what. I don't care who submitted what. It's just irrelevant to me. What I care about is that people are answering the question and are conveying their thoughts and feelings and shit like that. And so, or lack thereof at times, as you may well know. And so, and then I read those out loud, but I don't say who obviously was the submitter, but I read them out loud, and then I speak my thoughts on it, and maybe someone else that's with me that decides to join the stream, Shadowfall, if you're out there, can go ahead and join in. Shadowfall being my occasional co-host, if you will. It depends on if they woke up or not. It just varies. But in any case, either way, we're going to be discussing that, going through them, and this is the question of the day. And the streams usually last about an hour and a half, so I usually stop around 8:30 PST. But sometimes they go over a little. I don't know. It just depends, but we'll see. Let me see here. Okay, let me give you the question first that I posed. Now, this is not a fun question. But guess what, everyone? Guess what happens? I put a very not fun question this time, and I get a lot of answers. So I actually got a decent amount of submissions this time around. Oh, you schizoids. You're just like me. You just love being... No. I was going to say love being miserable. It's kind of a... I don't know about... it's something intentional. Alright. Here's the question. Do you have sad childhood memories? Even if, say, you have disassociated from them significantly over the years, are there any that still hurt, that still have resonance with pain you still currently experience? If you stop thinking about it and can now think about it in a more indifferent way, that's what I meant to put, could you describe why? If it still hurts, could you discuss in your submission what about it makes it so exclusively potent compared to other traumas? Even if it's something really unique, neurodivergent, or eccentric that others around you, especially at the time, did not recognize as trauma. I would really be interested. So that's what I posted. Right? And that was on the 11th. And it looks like I got some, like I said, quite a few submissions. All right, so I'm going to go, and part of the reason, by the way, just to clarify, the reason I do this is because schizoids don't have a lot of places where they can just express themselves in this kind of more not even a non-judgmental space, a space in which the person listening, myself, and those that sometimes join me, can resonate with or understand. Commiseration, a sincere commiseration, can be made manifest, if you will. And there's not a lot of spaces for that, right? I think a lot of schizoids would like to reach out into outside of the void and into that which is most problematic, humanity, in some way that perhaps even for a moment they may feel understood, even if briefly, even if tangentially, but nonetheless. Okay, let's get right into the actual submissions here. Before I do that, though, I should remember no one's here with me yet, so I'm going to keep it like this until someone is. But remember, guys, if you want to jump into the stream and contribute, listen, maybe you have some thoughts, maybe you want to be here just in case you get some thoughts, and you want to express them, or anything like that, you're more than welcome to jump on. It's in the annex section of my server. And if you're a new person, you've never jumped on before, you've never been on the server, it's not going to let you speak. So just DM me, tell me why you want to jump on. It's just to keep all the fucking assholes, you know, from trying to jump on and just causing problems. So just DM me, be like, oh, I want to jump on because I want to talk about something related to this. You don't have to be schizoid to talk on the stream. Making sure you know that. All right. Let's see here. All right, let's go with number 1. Get to the top here. Man, there is a lot to read today, so I'm gonna have to like really stick to it. All right. Submission 1. Let's see here. Dear Angst, I have tons of sad childhood memories. They used to be neutral, like just a collection of facts that happened. But I've done a lot of therapy and moved lots of current day feelings back into my childhood, where they belonged. And now my childhood is infinitely sad. Just tons of abandonment, callousness, exploitation, contempt, hate, indifference, rejection, emotional neglect. As my childhood has gotten sadder, my present has been getting lighter. But I still have a ways to go. Man, just that, it might not sound like much, but man, that's really relatable and heavy, because yeah, I've been dealing with that in the last 2 years, is kind of reassociating with like my emotional range in a more deep way. That can sometimes be incredibly painful and makes me want to retreat back into my hobbit hole. But I've gotten significantly through all this stuff. But one of the toughest parts is one of the most vicious parts of reclaiming that sort of association to your feelings and stuff, is being able to then apply those new skills, if you will, or those developments into your past. And then you start like feeling your past, and it's not fucking easy, dude. But like they said, it has its benefits. It frees you from certain other things in the present, such as some kind of certain types of unfounded shame or guilt, or frustration or obsessions you may have. Or perspectives that are ultimately harmful to your present. It can definitely help with that, but it still does not come without a significant degree of discomfort. So be warned, even if I think it's ultimately worth it. Okay. Oh shit, there's a lot of you here today. God damn. Alright, word got out that maybe my stupid stream is worth a fucking sometime. All right, let me see here. Next one. Just to clarify, nope, nobody's hopped on yet. Next one. Okay, and remember, guys, for those that just joined, the question was essentially about schizoids and any kind of childhood memories, sad childhood memories, traumatic ones that still resonate with them, or maybe they feel disassociated from because they have schizoid PD. And some of the ideas. So it's not going to be the happiest stream, guys. Not like most of my streams are. But here we go. Next one. And if, by the way, if I see that something's coming up that's like, you know, TW, I'll try my best to catch it. I know some people usually, like, sometimes do it anyway. My memories were rather traumatic, but mostly in my earthly youth. Around the age of 10, I tried to run away from home about 5 times. They are painful in that I still feel like I am not part of my family. I had been abused, but the abuse was not the problem. It was the fact that I was abused by people who I did not connect with. My relationship with my parents was rather like with captors who keep me alive. I was fairly happy materially speaking, but emotionally I had very little to no connection with my family. Currently, I view this as a phase of life I could not handle, and I'm happy it's over, and my family relations are acceptable. But on a very fundamental level, my family is just people I had to grow up with. I respect them, even love them, but at the same time, I have only history with them. I view them as people I live with now out of necessity. Emotionally, I was isolated and ashamed. I am part of my family and did not like how they treated me. I felt no love or belonging. I think over time it broke me and made me a withdrawn schizoid. Although I do not blame them for it, as they were enacting their own trauma upon me. My whole family is riveted with trauma, narcissism, psychopathy, and schizoidism. I came to terms with this harsh reality only recently in my 35th year and accepted that they were trying to shape me into a good human being, but rather just abused me and emotionally neglected me. I forgave them a long time ago, but needless to say, I still get angry when interacting with them, and they still treat me as if somebody with the same dynamics I had 25 years ago. To sum it up, this is just a short snip of overall arc of abuse, but memories I have of childhood are still painful in some sense. But knowing I'm in control of my life now gave me hope to start a better life with more self-respect and hope. Wow, okay. Yeah, that brings to mind something kind of important that I can definitely speak upon. It's that feeling of how could I put this? That feeling of being able to think on your parents at a later age, like, because they said 35, right? I'm almost 40. I'm 39, and but thinking about like the decisions that my parents made and how they made them, like on retrospect, that's why I've come to terms. It's kind of interesting because the more I've like developed my thoughts on it, connected to myself, the more I've forgiven one parent and not forgiven another. So, based on like my recollection, my retrospect, my own experience as a parent myself, my ability to sort of look at it in a disassociated way as well as the now more emotionally associated way. All of that has kind of allowed me to sort of think about my past and then look at my parents and their actions, and they make essentially subjective judgments on the decision making as best with as much context as I can muster. Let's see here. Don says, I'm in late and disheveled as usual. Grief processing rough shit, but the only way out is the side of the sticks, it seems. Same, still trying to break through the emotional barriers at 57. It's alright, Don. That's the thing, like, that's part of why I do the work I do, man, because I don't want it to be till age, 57, age 40 to, still have so many of those barriers, right? We have the internet. We have ways of communicating this stuff, even if the literature as well as the therapeutic world isn't really covering information on it very much, and isn't really doing the proper research it needs to, hence the advocacy I do. We could still help each other, and hopefully, we can help schizoids overcome various aspects of this problem or these problems at an earlier age. Start tackling them in your 20s instead of your 30s, 40s, or never, right? And so, yeah, and that's what I want. I want to see less schizoids with prognosis poor actually becoming their fate, if you will, because that's kind of how it's sort of treated currently in many ways, and that's for a ton of really, really unnecessary reasons. Okay, so let me move forward here. Next one in line. Let's see here. Okay. Dear Angst, most vivid childhood memory is my mother, with the best intentions, bringing another kid into our home. She had taken a nanny job. She thought she was bringing me a friend. I interpreted it as not being good enough on my own. I was being replaced. I was maybe 5 or 6. Other garbage memories is from my father's place when I was 9-ish. My parents did, of course, divorce when I was 2, where I kept being told to go outside and play, which is a normal thing. Me being who I was didn't see it that way. I felt I was being rejected and driven out to beg for shelter somewhere. I had no real friends. It was just houses where they let me in when I got booted out of my father's place. I learned later my father was, of course, an unstable alcoholic, and the reasons he wanted me out was because he was too badly hungover. This other time, I was awoken in the middle of the night by his wife, my stepmother, because apparently things had gotten too bad and I had to go. All I understand to be true was me being there was a problem. I was the problem, and I had to go. A taxi was called, and I was shuttled back to my real home, at my mother's. It's just been rejection all the time. Being unwanted, being a problem, not good enough, always looking to get me out of sight. Yeah, it's interesting how it can go from out of sight, out of mind, and then you become, essentially, you become out of your own sight, and almost out of your own mind, in a variety of ways, right? You don't just disappear to the world, you disappear from your own view. That's why you look back inside, and many times the schizoid describes a void. Only a void. Well, we're not going to keep it that way, folks, okay? I know I've started filling my void with some things. It's been a scary process, but it's a doable. All right, man, that was rough. This is gonna be a rough stream. All right, this is gonna be a rough stream. Remember, guys, after the streams, I usually go into the server, go into Angst Likes Awful Media, maybe pop in a movie, maybe converse for a while. I don't know, something along that nature. So I'm probably gonna need a distraction or two after this one. So I do not ruminate on the glorious thing that is childhood and human life. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so this one's got a TW. Oh, okay. I can see why, right? Okay. Okay, so CSA. So we're going to have CSA. So TW on that one. And an undetailed description of attempted murder. Okay, so those are going to be some fucked childhood memories. And they got a spoiler on here I haven't even clicked on. All right, well, let's go. If there's anything I feel I can't say aloud on a stream for fear of having the channel like go bye-bye, I will try to avoid it. But I don't like to, because I think the human experience can be as awful as people like to pretend it's not. Don't make me think about that. It makes me feel the bads. Okay. Dear Angst, I was abused by my half-brother as a young child. First, there was the essay, which was fairly frequent when I was young, under 6 years old. I didn't understand what was happening, and overall, it was, I would describe as gentle. Nowadays, I don't feel much of anything about it. It happened. It sucked. I don't have a big problem talking about it, though I don't really bring it up. I don't think about it as much as all, in honesty. I don't really see why it would bother me. It was something that happened to me, and to let it be a problem would be to provide someone else with the means to change my emotions. Oh man, autonomy protection, schizoid style, man. I feel you. I won't identify with real world trauma. He did try it again when I was 10, 12-ish, but I stopped him, and he didn't force. Overall, it was whatever. I had the opportunity to try and press charges, but I didn't bother. It's more effort than it's worth, and he's ruined his life enough to his own, last I heard. As well, that same half-brother was extremely violent toward me, to the point where he had to be put into foster care for my protection. I have vivid memories of him attempting to suffocate me to death. Most of it I don't remember, as it happened when I was extremely young. I don't think it was much either, but there was a recent time when it finally struck me. Holy shit, I literally survived an attempted murder. But otherwise, it hasn't been a problem for me. Man. Overall, there has been very little impact from this. I don't think about it. I don't really care. If anything, it's a burden that might muddy the waters when I get into therapy. Some unrelated trauma that sounds important but really isn't. Hope you're having a good stream. Man. Friend. Damn. I mean, the reason, like, look, the reason I'm not going like, oh, it's so fucked up. What happened? No, it is. It's absolutely fucked what you're describing. The part that gets me, like, the part that fucks me up reading it, and I think this is a very much like a very schizoid sort of specific part that I'm like relating to, is the portions in which this person was saying, it doesn't matter to me. It's a thing that happened. Who cares? It's going to just make things difficult. I don't feel either way about it. So on and so forth. Like that kind of stuff. Fuck, man. Like it hurt. It feels rough to hear because, like, that's how I talked about my CSA in my life. Like maybe, like, even like 5 years ago, maybe. That's how I was talking about it. That's how I would talk to about it my psychologist. This kind of very just sort of disassociated, very just who cares? It's a thing. I think back on it. It's a thing that happened. Like it's, and I would be able to just talk about it really casually to people. Like I would just, like, if somebody says, oh, this, I would be like, oh yeah, that happened to me. I was, CSA'd. And yeah, it's I could still do that now, but I know where to go. I know where it exists, and I know the places I can go to feel it, like to feel the trauma of it in the ways that make sense to me. But because of my defenses, I'm able to sort of like keep it compartmentalized. But I know it exists. So now I can never say, oh, it's just a thing that happened. It's irrelevant to my present. Like those types of words, I can't use those anymore because it would be a lie in my case. Now, when I was saying that 5 years ago, it wasn't a lie because it felt like that. But like I said, reconnecting to your emotional range is not an easy process. It comes with its merits, but it also comes with its demerits. And the only way to make those things balance out, reach a better state of homeostasis, is by having other people you can commiserate with. I'm not saying go make a best friend. I'm not saying like connect to people in conventional ways that don't make sense to you, never have. You're schizoid out there. No, I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about talking to people that have experienced similar types of traumas, neurodivergent traumas, confusion, and even not just similar types of trauma, but similar types of perceptions regarding that trauma. Right? That's the key part there, right? I can talk to somebody that's endured something like SA, but their perspective of it, and what happened to them is probably going to be, I mean, I'm not saying it will be, but it might not be as, schizo-spectrum or autistic or have you as someone like me. Because the stuff that traumatizes me about my experience with SA is it's like these aspects of it that are very unique to my perspective, to my view of the world and how I interact with the world. I found the stuff that fucks me up about it, and it's not the same stuff that I generally hear fuck people up about it. It's kind of idiosyncratic in many ways. That's why it's really difficult to talk about trauma as someone that's schizoid, even if there is something that fucks you up, because the way it fucks you up, um, it might not be acceptable, or uh, it might make people uncomfortable, or it might make your psychologist think that you're like intellectualizing some portion of it in some way or another, because like you're putting emphasis on this other part as being more traumatic than like what should obviously be the traumatic part. Yeah, see, yeah, that's where it gets really dicey. And that's where I think for a lot of schizoids, when they go to see somebody and actually try to discuss trauma or discuss how they experienced aspects of it, like there's a lot of misapprehensions, for a variety of reasons. Anyway, all right, let me Let me see what the next one is here. Man, Shadowfall's gonna be pissed that he wasn't here for this one. This is pretty heavy. Shadowfall likes the heavy ones. All right. Let me see here. Next up. Hold on. Sorry. All right. Dear Angst, I have many sad childhood memories I recognize have impacted my entire life enormously in a variety of ways. I'll only talk about the most significant ones. I need to resist telling my whole life story and the lessons I learned to survive, so I'll limit it to the three which I can see the effects of clearly today. Still, it's a little bit long, so ignore the second and third ones if you wish. Oh no, I won't be ignoring any of this. We're gonna read through this all. Um, oh hey Olivia, let me undeafen here. There we go. Hey Olivia.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. Just doing the stream. It's a very somber stream. If you weren't already listening.
No, I didn't hear.
Okay, so basically, you know how I do the question thing for the Saturdays?
Yeah.
Yeah, the question was about sad childhood memories that one might feel disassociated from, maybe have begun to connect to, or still uniquely feel painful, even if you're kind of disconnected or disassociated from a variety of other things as somebody that's schizoid. So, but how, like, just that one or two, that one specific memory that, hurts, even if, like, you might not fully be able to describe why it does, or in a lot of cases, schizoids will, like, consider themselves, you know, being weak or lesser than for not being able to overcome it or ignore it. But anyway, so it's a somber one today. I've already gone through. I've read a few that involved everything from, well, a lot of TW stuff. Let's just say. So, yeah, especially that last one was pretty rough. But yeah, you're more than welcome to run in the other direction if you're not in the mood for this stuff. But that is what we're here for. Let me see here. Okay, next one. Dear Angst, I have many sad. Oh wait, no, I was still reading this. Okay, yeah. Third. Okay, so I was going here. There were uncomfortable times early in primary school. I recognized profoundly that there was something wrong with me, which is itself a lifelong persistent trauma. I've always felt completely estranged from common human knowledge, as if everyone in the world was given a handbook on how to live except for me, or how a bird instinctually knows the way to fly home. And I don't know if this is even entirely schizoid, or maybe I got worse than most, but because of observing the people on this Discord, everyone seems to live far more exciting and functionally normal lives than me. They talk about things and I have no frame of reference for drugs, dating, traveling, the dramas people have, the unique hobbies. People know things and I just don't know how they know. I have always felt completely hollow. I existed but never lived. Number one, I realization of my complete inadequacy as a human. Looking back on it, knowing what was wrong with me and that I was schizoid, or at least that it was a significant factor, somewhere around 9 to 10 years old, it would make sense when I was peer pressured into confessing to my crush, who I actually had a good friendship with. It did not work out. I didn't know what to do, so I didn't interact with her. It lasted a day or two at most, and then nothing changed. I don't remember feeling anything about it and carried on with my life. A new student transferred in at some point after this, and he and the little girl had a crush on, started dating. Then I saw them together as we were sitting in gym class, and they were kissing. To say that time froze and reality crumbled around me is obviously a fantastical exaggeration, but I did feel deeply in that moment a shift in my understanding of myself and the true depth of inadequacies of who I am. I am completely defective as a human being. I am incapable of love, incapable of being in that position. Out there in front of my eyes is the physical manifestation of someone better than me in every single way possible. I am nothing, completely and utterly nothing. God damn. Sometime after that, I spent a large majority of my time in a corner of the playground, just thinking deeply about myself and the culmination of my experiences. From a young age, I had the belief that I didn't like being alive, and I vividly remember at some point saying that if it still felt this way by the time I turned 13, I would pay serious attention to any opportunity to I don't know if it's to get mad, but yeah, I'm just gonna say I don't give a shit. Kill myself. I was self-aware enough at the time to consider the possibility that my depression with life was temporary thing. It is not. While there was brooding in the playground, there are very words I was thinking. I don't want to feel pain, emotional or physical pain. I can stop emotional pain by building walls between people, not letting them get close to me, but I'm not sure about the physical pain. Maybe I'll figure out something out when I get older. I built those walls extremely strong, and later in high school I realized that I could do what Buddhist monks do and put on a show, let people hurt me and display no outward emotion or expression of pain, separate myself from the pain. They would think it doesn't hurt me and would develop my control of myself and tolerance for suffering. I let people hit my knuckles and arms with rulers as hard as many times as they like. I allow people to kick or hit me as hard as they could, stapling and stabbing my arm with a pin to prove I couldn't feel pain. All parlor tricks, bluffs, nothing that dealt real lasting damage. But bluffing is just as powerful as actually being. Tell yourself a lie long enough and it becomes the truth. I told myself I couldn't feel pain and it became a reality. I'm now struggling to feel any strong emotion even if I wanted. You might think of this as self-harm, but I don't. In actuality, it was extremely effective in neutralizing my fear of pain, as well as building up tolerance for it, so that I could be more confident and I can endure anything thrown at me in everyday life. Accept the small suffering so you can endure the bigger suffering. It developed my fascination in the psychology of pain and psychology in general. It made me realize that people are extremely rationally afraid of even the tiniest discomfort. I could feel superior in that. 2. Hand-holding regret trauma. The next trauma was precursor to the story. At 8 or 9, I used to bully a girl, pretend to throw spiders on her, some other things, etc. At some point, I stopped doing this and began to treat her better. It is said a child will bully the person they like and all of the petty crushes I've had. Looking back on it, when I was 17, I realized that girl was the only one I actually loved. We had a thing in class where the top of the 2 smartest students got to sit at the same desk and could sit on chairs instead of the floor where we were being taught in a group. This was the only thing in my life I cared about, my grades. I wanted to be beside her so I could pay attention in class. I tried hard, possibly the first time I ever attempted to go beyond the average level of effort. We were sitting on chairs behind everyone. I had my arms dangling behind my back, and I felt her hold my hand. I don't know why, but I shook her hand off, embarrassed, afraid of getting caught or something else. I deeply regret it. She left school some time after that, but I don't believe it was linked. My memories are vague after that, but I know I had and still have frequent dreams related to that, tragic dreams on the topic of holding someone's hand and never letting go. Whether I hear those words of sentiment in movies, games, or books, it knocks me out of reality for a moment back to that time. I have a finger and hand-holding obsession I believe was acquired due to that. I take that level of connection profoundly and serious now, and I often think about her and hope I didn't hurt her by doing that, and that it hasn't become a trauma for her as it has for me. I wish I could say sorry. Fuck, dude. Ugh. God damn. This is a it's a doozy. That's a doozy. Alright, just give me oh, what is this? Hold on. A second here. Just say unalive yourself, otherwise Algo doesn't like it. Okay, so I'll say unalive. Was this somebody on your Discord? Yeah. These are submissions for the Discord. What's this? Active research. If you want me to explain it to you, just DM me or something. You should be able to. I'm definitely not going to be handling it over a stream. But yeah. The only reason I didn't respond to you on Patreon is because you said never mind, so then I didn't. But if you would still like to know, DM me please on Discord. I'll get to it when I can. Okay. So let me see here. Next part of this such very, very difficult to read. Huh?
Morning.
Morning. Weren't you already here for a while?
No, I just got here.
No, you didn't. I saw the little mouse a while ago.
No, I
Oh,
was
okay.
not here.
Okay,
And
lies.
this is not sarcasm.
Okay, fine. Got it.
And
Anyway,
Olivia joined here a while ago, I think.
yeah, and then you
She's been
did.
here.
You've been here for like at least
Well, I've been here
5
for like
minutes.
5 minutes, but
Yeah,
quiet.
that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, it's a rough one. I don't know if you saw the question there, Shadow, that I had posted.
No, I've seen the question.
Yeah, it's been a fucking rough read. Right now I'm reading because I'm relating to a bunch of aspects of this, and like I'm just like what's the word? It's one of the submissions is very, very long but very, very fascinating. It's multi-parted. I think I'm on the third part, and then there's a conclusion here. Or no, it's just the third part, and then that's it. But what got me is like, if you were listening, it's just, man, something so seemingly inconsequential, right? Like batting away the hand of the girl that you had some secret crush on. That was the only time you maybe connected to someone in that kind of way or something, any significant way, or having it happen more than once because it sounded like it did, and it to be like the most just small things like that, and then have it all connected and associated too. All the home related possible neglect and abuse and everything else, and then just to have that reigning over you for years. That like, yeah, very, very kind of unique, traumatic events, right? Like, I feel like somebody would hear a story about like the hand holding incident that they described and just think like, what's the big deal? Like, what? It's just like you were like a kid, who cares, or some shit like that. They would have some kind of fucking feeling or response.
It's like the symbolism of the moment. You attribute all of this.
Yeah, it just expands out.
All of this into one moment.
Mm-hmm.
The one moment encapsulates all of the emotion.
Yeah, it's not about the what happened exactly. It's what it sort of represents and how it feels and how it expands upon their current understanding of who they are and what they are, and the way they describe themselves is nothing. So, okay, next part here, the trauma number 3, the blueprint of the type, or sad memory number 3, the blueprint of the type of girl I love. This last one, instinctively, I feel came before those last two, but I really can't be sure. I was young enough to know what anime was, as I discovered it by searching strange cartoons on YouTube. That is where I discovered an anime called Shuffle, a romance harem anime where obviously the main character doesn't choose the best girl. I was the same age as the lolly character, so naturally I empathized with her and liked her for a moment. So when the main character in the anime rejected her affection, dismissed her as undeserving of love, and avoided interactions with her, I just couldn't comprehend it. Why wasn't she allowed to be happy? It was so painful for how young I was. She reflected me. A character who resembled me in personality was treated at arm's length. So wrong for existing. Why wasn't I allowed to be happy? I'm almost certain that was the first time I felt such strong emotions. Primula is an artificial life form, a homunculus. A character who doesn't talk much and is extremely bad at socializing. She doesn't display any desires, expressions, or interests. She has emotions but lacks expressiveness, but is capable of displaying exquisite emotions with carefully selected intimates. In other words, she is a schizoid. The very first person I could relate to completely out of every other human I had interacted with. Someone who understood me, and she wasn't real. Still, everything about her became the blueprint for the type of girl I love, imprinted deep into my childhood psyche. Oh man, we got a description here. Alright. Let's see here. Albino, pale, white, silver hair, purple eyes, motionless, robotic, doll-like, schizoid-like, quiet, soft-spoken, calm, stoic, deeply hidden emotions, could be drawn out with love. Not real is the last parameter. It's hilarious, and I'm paradoxically in love with schizoids, but I'm incapable of that love. Jesus. All right, man. I don't know. It's fascinating stuff. Like what resonates with me about that last one, is that it wasn't like in regards to like love or anything like that, but the first things I was ever able to like connect to emotionally, or that I did connect to emotionally even as a child, were never other people. that I was around. It wasn't my parents, it wasn't my siblings, it was characters in shows and books that I read, and comic books that I read. That's where I connected. Like I know for some people it might have been, a philosopher, or it might have been a certain historical figure, right? I was a little nerd, so for me it was like characters in different shows and books and later anime and stuff. And it was always, of course, the dark, the brooding, the self basically ostracizing character, the one that had like ideals that require them to basically set aside their own personal interpersonal interests, needs, or so otherwise, or they were basically uninterested in those like interpersonal questions and needs because they had these bigger questions and bigger problems that they felt superseded all that. Like those are the characters that I always found the most really fascinating. And from an early childhood, for me, it was, as I've described many times before, it was Spider-Man as a kid, because that's kind of like part of the theme of the character was, they had a responsibility because of the power that they possessed, and they put that above their own happiness on a consistent basis. Their happiness was always secondary to this kind of meta obligation or meta responsibility they felt they had. And they had these principles and they upheld them above their own capacity for joy or to develop a joyful life. And it's probably something that like really resonated with me even as a kid, even if I didn't fully comprehend or understand it. But as I gotten older, I've just kind of discovered more and more that that's kind of like very much deeply imprinted into my psyche, as this person said about the perfect girl or whatever, and for them. For me, was this concept of a self that was.
I wonder how many other schizoids even had that, because I can recall that I had Roxas for many of the reasons I've stated before.
Yeah.
Just basically you identify as them. But I wonder how many schizoids even found that in some sort of media, let alone in some other person.
I don't know. I've heard it a few times. Another person, unlikely. But media is, I think, very common because, and it doesn't have to be fictional, right? It could be nonfiction stuff.
Yeah.
But or a concept or idea or a notion or an artist, specific musician, and what they conveyed. Like it's like a lot of schizoids find themselves in like their initial experiences with finding parts of things that resonate with them in the outside world is it's almost never an actual person they can interact with in real life. Right, that they actually interact with in their local life. It's always something many degrees separated from them. And I don't think it's because, it's safe because it's many degrees separated. I think it's because of it, like I always state, because of the neurodivergence, they have a very, very tough time finding people and things they can relate to in the realm of just like, their local interpersonal life. That's just going to be a much tougher time to do that. Nowadays, luckily, we can find each other. We have the interwebs. But for many of us that didn't have that, well, that wasn't a possibility. So I had Spider-Man. Then later I had, Morbius. And then later I had, Vampire Hunter D. And then later I had Guts and characters like that. So, yeah. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Let me see here. I have two more left here. One's lengthy, one's shorter. Maybe we could discuss a little bit and everything. All right, so, Dear Angst, of course I have sad childhood memories, though often I don't remember them being sad. I don't really remember the feelings of sadness. I do remember the feeling of fear. I feel very indifferent toward my own child self. I do often think about how if I saw a child in this kind of situation and with the behaviors I had, I would be concerned for the well-being of that child. But for myself, I don't feel that concern. I lived in fear of my parents. I can't even pin down why. I've said it before. I know I was an unwanted child, and I think I became acutely aware of that early on. I definitely manifested that indifference a long time ago. I remember when my father locked me and my brothers and my mother outside of the house. I seemed to think nothing of it, and demonstrated how I, at 9, knew how to break into the house. That's weird. It meant nothing to me in any direction, and my parents' obsession with money was passed down to me being miserly, and said saving every penny I could find. I wanted so much to buy my freedom from my family even at age like 7. I always wanted to be with my grandparents because they treated me better. When I had an opportunity at 5 to go with my grandparents to Disney World, I was so happy. And when my grandmother would take me on vacation over the summers to the cabin on the lake, being at home meant being hit, screamed at, denied water, fed poorly, always alone, always bored. And I have 2 younger siblings, and they are also just fucked up as adults in different ways. So my entire family situation was just awful. Yet, it's hard to pin down. My own mother asked me the last time I saw her, "Why do you hate me?" I don't hate her. I don't even really think about her. Yet I look at those childhood stories and I think about what I have become, and if I imagine that story happened to someone else, I would totally understand why they would hate their parents. And as the parent, I would think, isn't it obvious? Yet I think my mother's question was genuine, and I don't have an answer for her. Yeah, that one hits because it makes me think about like a while ago, like like a year ago, over a year and a half, 2 years ago. I tried to explain to my mother like the whole schizoid thing, and I tried to explain to her that it just like I never developed the same kind of emotional connections to either of my parents like most kids would. And I basically told her like my thinking, my experiences were so different, so alien to what you guys were trying to teach me or be a part of, that I could never connect to it. And I basically told her, but now that I could see back on it and think about how you behaved and what you were attempting to do, I told my mother that I understood that she was essentially really, really, really doing the best she could based on the information and understanding of what she thought would be good for a child. And in many cases, were I not the neurodivergent child that I was, I probably would have been very happy or connected to her for the things that she did and how she did them. Because she wasn't actively abusive or anything like that. But a lot of what she kind of tried to enforce on me and tried to teach me and show me and put me through to what she thought was best for me was, yeah, it was traumatic in a variety of ways for a variety of reasons that are very unique to my experience. But I look back on them and I go, these are not malevolent acts. Now, I won't talk about my other parent because that's a whole different story and I'm not going to get into it again. But the point is, with my mother, I explained to her that I respected what she was trying to do. It did cause unintentional harm, but that's something that I can now get past in regards to having any kind of resentment toward you, because it wasn't how it felt. What was being done wasn't how it felt when it was being done. It didn't match up with how it would be described based on the contexts involved. Heavy shit. All right. I got one more here, and then we can just get into talking about any of this if you want, Shadow or Olivia. Okay. Last one. Dear Angst. Oh, they just reiterate my question. Do you have sad childhood memories? They say, I have glimpses that I can assume were sad. And then they say, in regards to the question of, let's see here, even if, say, you have disassociated from them significantly over the years, are there any still hurt that still have resonance with pain you still currently experience? I said, not really. There are memories that can make me mad or sad that they happened, but they don't carry anything with them. And then with regard to the question, if you stop thinking about it and can now think about it in a more different way. Could you describe it? And I said, I can't answer this one because I can't remember when it changed. I assume my memory is flawed in some way. It just made me think about like how a lot of schizoids describe, you know, the development of the PD or what have you as like they can't quite figure out when it happened, or it feels like it's always been this way, or they have memories of when it wasn't this way, but they can't, like those times seem distant and almost unrelated to them in the present.
I distinctly remember like a growing fear since the age of 6. But besides the fear, I felt like I was normal. Does that make sense? Like I was obviously neurodivergent, but like there was like a certain kind of dread that built up year after year as I started being proven more right over time, as much as I tried to like fight against it. But there was definitely a moment, and it was very late in my life. I was 19 when it happened. That kind of drove me over the edge. That's how I describe it. But my memories are like, I'm not dissociated from my memories. It's a very continuous line for me.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. Like I often, like if obviously more studies were done and we can actually figure out if I'm right about this idea that schizoids are essentially on one side of the spectrum or the other, whether they're more on the schizo side or the autism side, it would be interesting to be able to differentiate how this sort of very specific neurodivergent trauma of like being in a world that just doesn't make sense to you, people you can't mirror in the same way, events not being interpreted in your mind as your peers and your parents and everything else, and the sort of trauma that comes with that, how it differentiates between an autistic side person and a schizo side person, and how it ultimately ends up, at least in the case of the schizoid, becoming a default mode of sort of disassociation from the self, a sense of ego that is like poorly or, you know, almost not constructed, or constructed of everything but the connection to their own fellow man or species, if you will, but constructed of all sorts of outer or external parts. Just all that stuff and how it manifests. Like, it's interesting because, like, you say, oh, you're like, you can remember all your memories and stuff. And, like, I'm like super disconnected from my memories.
Not so far younger.
I mean, that's true, but even when I was young, I was disconnected. If you would have talked to me at like 23, I would have still been just as disconnected from my memories.
Well,
more so, if anything.
I was also never physically abused, too.
Yeah, but that was just one event in my life. My parents weren't like beating me and stuff. The issue with the abuse, that was like a neighbor type situation. But point being,
I mean, people that do have physical abuse are far more prone to dissociation.
Yeah, I get
even
that.
If, with like schizoid aside,
but I don't have happy memories either. Like, there's no like, even like, because my parents, it's not like my parents didn't do stuff. Like, my parents like would take me to Disneyland. My parents would have a birthday party for me on my birthday. But like, I think back, I don't have any, like, you know, like I said, just like that whole stupid Inside Out thing, core memories. I don't really have, like,
and
interpersonal core memories.
I understand exactly what you mean by that too, because there's plenty of times where I remember going to, like, I live near Six Flags. We went there many times, and there was like haunted hay rides. There was trips to the corn maze. There's plenty of memories that I remember, but the most prominent ones after I got older, especially after when I was 19, the most prominent core memories I have are of the times when I was alone in my house either at night or when I was really young and I was the only one there. Or
And
there
let
was
me
like
guess, you were
someone,
connecting to some
like
piece
people
of
gone.
media or something.
Well, it depends because when I was really, really young, I didn't have any media to connect to because I didn't have internet
So
at the time.
what is the memory comprised of?
I remember mostly it just being idle with my imagination. And it's not like I was creating a dream, but I just remember being there.
Interesting.
And
Yeah, I can
like
imagine
another,
introspection or internal thoughts being part of what the core memories or memories schizoids can connect to and develop.
yeah, but I was introspecting at the age of 6, so
Yeah,
no, that wasn't even 6. That was pre-6.
I mean I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of schizoids were doing that at an earlier
I was
age than
like
normal.
4 when I did that. Those are really old
I have no
memories.
memories of anything at 4 except for things I was interacting with at that
Well,
age.
because uh, I played. The reason why I say 6 was because that's when I first played Kingdom Hearts, and that's when I had a type of media give me enough of like a basis to create dreams out of.
Mm.
Was the introduction to Kingdom Hearts, and that's kind of what set off the whole dream stuff. But before that, I was relatively just idle. But I knew I could think. So it was before 6 because it was before first grade. I was only in preschool or kindergarten at that time. So I had to have been at least, at most, 5. But a lot of just empty thoughts. Just kind of there.
Can you remember where you were sitting and what was around you?
I was in my living room. I remember it was like a cozy feeling. I remember that
You
because
felt
my brother wasn't there
safe,
because he was in
content, maybe?
school. Yeah, I don't know where my sister was. My mom was probably at work or down the road or somewhere, or maybe in her bedroom, but like I didn't have object permanence enough to say like, oh, well, she's going to be in there for a while, so she may as well
Yeah.
not exist.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling really safe, I guess,
Interesting.
and really content and cozy in my living room because I was the only one there.
Yeah.
My brother did not like me very early on. I have a very vivid memory of him telling me I wish you were never born when I was like 3.
Wow.
But my sister hated me too. I don't know why, but she grew to like my brother way more than she liked me. So both of them hated me.
Have you ever asked them
Uh,
like, why did you guys dislike me so much when you were young?
well, I never have. I get along with my sister
You should.
significantly
Well,
well.
then you should.
now.
You should ask and see if they have any memories of this. Was that why they were frustrated with you being there and what you were doing? They're frustrated or
Uh,
upset them.
I think because both of them, like my mother, had mood destabilization issues, and kind of like me as well. That's why I developed Zoid adaptations consciously after I was 19. It's more like I gave into the dread and be like, okay, I need to use this dread as a means to like stabilize myself because otherwise I'm gonna fall apart. But for them, it was a lot more, or it was a lot louder, a lot more, or a lot angrier.
Bigger
Both of them have
storm.
core fuses. Both of them are like would almost be antisocial.
Okay. Let me look at some of the chat here. Too real, too familiar, bless you, man. That all resonates. Oh, okay, damn. I think that was a while ago, though. Rolando, being a schizoid sucks long term as you can end up with no friends and family support network, and then you can easily end up screwed because of it. Well, yeah, it's true. So at least that happens to a lot of us. Gunny, Morbius mentioned. Yes, it was. Glad you noticed. No comments in the Twitch. It seems most people have jumped off here. Before they do, I want to go ahead and mention, please, if you like the stream, if you like what I'm doing, I'm not just doing streams. I also have the YouTube videos that I do. I have a server that I own. I have other stuff I'm kind of trying to make happen behind the scenes. I might have found, I don't know, I might have found some portion of the funding I need for the to turn the nonprofit thing I have into a tax exempt one, so that I could start like e-begging for it and stuff to eventually maybe do something if I can find a wealthy Zoid or a parent of a schizo-spectrum person that might be interested in helping. But in any case, yeah. So if you
I mean,
want
I
to,
think it's getting there. It's definitely been a lot more active
what?
than like you've mentioned a few times, and I know I've kind of jumped
Tired.
late into the party with the whole server thing,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's been a lot of people talking, and you've mentioned yourself that it's been surprising seeing these new developments.
No, it's been going
I
on.
think it's getting there eventually.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like my servers are 90% lurkers, but that's okay. It's kind of expected. So, and a lot of the people that do end up eventually talking or saying something were like lurking for like months or a year.
Mhm.
They'll say that, they'll be like, "Oh, I've been lurking on the server for like a long time." They'll post something in introductions, and then they might not like post anything anywhere else. Like, there's a bunch of people that have posted in introductions that have never posted on any other channels. And I find that really interesting. It's just like kind of their effort to kind of post something, and then they kind of just go back to just sort of lurking in there. So I wish there was some way to like know how many people are actively lurking, but there's no way to measure that. So there's no way to know if it's like, oh, there's just 20 people that actually use the server and talk, and the other 450 schizoids that made it through, they just like they're not even there. They never look at it. But there's no way to know. There could be like fucking, for all I know, like 150 or 200 of them are just like lurking and just occasionally reading through the pages to see if there's anything that vibes with them. Maybe looking at the polls, answering the polls. Because I've seen times where like a poll will get like 60 like votes or something, like a good amount of votes. But I'm like, there's definitely not that many. And then as I don't know if everyone can say, but I can sometimes look and be like, oh shit, there's a bunch of names in there I've never recognized before, or I haven't seen in a long time, or I only see in polls and nowhere else. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, join if you're a schizoid out there that hasn't, I don't care if you're older or younger, well, as long as you're not under 18, because it is 18 and over for a variety of reasons, please join the server, Zoid Void. So you can find it on Discord under Zoid Void, or it's just, I think, what is it, discord.gg/Zoid Void. I think since we have the boost, we get that little signature.
Is the boost on right now?
Yeah, somebody pushed it through again. I had put a request like if anybody had a couple bucks to boost it, and then the Zoids came through. Yeah, we're at 16 boosts right now. We need 15 to keep it up. That way we get the better audio, better streaming, and better more emotes, and just also more importantly the signature thing, because it kind of helps. It really does just have a simple.
I do it
Zoid
strictly
Void.
just for the emotes. I want people to be able to use emotes and not type if they don't want to.
Yeah, no, it's helpful.
Because
All right.
it's like an objective form of communication.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, it looks like everyone's scrambling out, and I think people really like hearing the submissions. But if you like hearing them, remember, I'm going to try to do them every Saturday. I can't always promise you that people are going to submit stuff. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do, so we'll see. It's hard to come up with sometimes I just want to ask like really innocuous shit because I have like a underlining reason for it. But when people are gonna ask like seemingly innocuous a question, like they tend to not submit. It's really funny. Like, I ask such a fucking hefty question, I get all these submissions. If I ask something like, "What's your favorite dish and why? And what memories do you have of that food you like?" Like, I'll get like 2 submissions.
It was like they can tell there's like some social garbage associated with it, and they're just like, all right, fuck it, we ball. I'm gonna ask the most genuine, honest, blunt question possible, and then they all answer.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But like some of the times where I ask like a seemingly innocuous question, I have a reason. I have a reason that I want to see the submissions. There's a reason.
Yeah.
there's like subtext and shit that I'm getting out of what it is that I'm asking. I'm not just asking
Did
because
you have
LOL,
subtext out
so
of this one, or
random.
was it just...
Huh?
Did you have subtext out of this one, or was it mostly just genuine curiosity?
Well, for this one, I knew I wouldn't have to have it. This was like, okay, this is just a question, and I wanted to see
Yeah.
how much of it resonated with me.
I'm
But
drawing a line here. I'm wondering if you can follow it.
do more of this.
Well, you said the questions where you have like hidden subtext, and the question is a little bit open-ended to try and figure out that subtext. Don't get answers. But this question didn't have subtext because it was about as obvious as and plain a question as you
Yeah,
could
maybe
get.
when I ask a
And
weird
as
question,
genuine.
people are like, "Why is he asking that?" I don't know. That's weird. And then they
Right?
just don't
This was
answer it.
this was plain. It was to the point. It was genuine, and it was honest, and it was serious.
Maybe if
Or
I ask,
maybe it doesn't have to be serious, but
yeah, but maybe if I ask it, maybe the best thing I can do is when I post a question, instead of just if I have like a reason for it, like I should just say what it is, right?
there you go. Yep.
Okay, so I'll say I'm asking this question because I'm trying to figure this out. Here's the question. Right? Okay. All right, that's true. Maybe I should do that. Okay, I'll start doing that. That's probably smart. Thank you, Shadow, for that piece of advice.
Autistic power of just
Yeah. Hey, man.
saying your mind.
Hell yeah. That's a symptom, right? Or of autism is mind reading. Leads to
No, it
psychically
is not a
projecting.
symptom of autism. I'll tell you that. That's like the opposite.
Kidding. All right. All right, guys. So thanks a lot for joining me. Thanks for being here. And appreciate you taking the time. All right. And thanks for the support from those that do support. Don said, I'm pre-internet, so I'm unfamiliar with the tech and have zero knowledge of how to navigate the server. But I want to because this chat box is a real handicap. My submission, the best I can do. Wait, what? Wait, hold on. I want to wait a little bit because Don, are you gonna post something? Because if you are, I would like to read it. I still got like 5 minutes before 8:30 anyway. I think that's what they meant by the best. My submission, the best I can do. I have a feeling they're gonna post something. Don, who has said they are 57 breaking barriers in the internet. All right, you're not the only one that's like up there. Okay, cool. You're not the only one that's up there on age that watches me. There's a few. Most of the people that watch my content and streams are like in their 20s though, like mid 20s, late 20s. Some in their early 30s. It worries me that the reason I don't, well, we'll see, right? Just like I wonder what the reason I don't come across very many old schizoids is because they didn't live to be old. But I don't know.
Maybe it's just they're technology illiterate. I don't know. Or they've already conditioned themselves into a life where they don't even know they're schizoid.
Or maybe they're just out in a fucking cabin out there somewhere.
Living a life.
Living some like, was it math? Was it Algebra Man lifestyle?
Algebra Man?
Yeah, Ted Kaczynski, the joke on they call him like Algebra Man.
They call him Algebra Man?
The Algebra Man, or something like that.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Algebra
That's
Man.
hilarious, I say with the most deadpan monotone
You haven't
voice.
seen that? It's like a picture of it's like a poorly drawn image of what looks like Ted Kaczynski. And it'll say some meme comment on the top, and it says the Algebra Man, like it's the one that said it, or Algebra Man in his cabin. I think it was Algebra Man in his cabin.
I have not seen that before, no.
It's pretty funny. Okay, Don is typing, so I will be reading this, Don, and then I will be ending the stream. Though I would like to hear your very, very pre-internet perspective on this matter. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I don't really have... Oh, okay.
Early memory. Around 4, a vivid nightmare of the little old lady who lived in a shoe who had so many children she didn't know what to do. My dad's work boot, stomping on kids. Yeesh. So like the
That's some
kids.
symbolism right there if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, she lived in the shoe, but the shoe was your dad's work boot, stomping on the kids that lived in it. Jesus Christ.
Fucking hell. Talk about schizoid.
Yeah, that's rough, man. It's a lot of levels there.
It's insane. Hold on. I wonder how many schizoids have dreams where they actually, like, from a very early age, like 4 to 6, right? Understand that their family is neglecting them with the imagery, right? Because my dream was like I was drowning in like this quicksand of darkness, crying out for help and seeing people at the top of the stairs, like my family, just ignore my cries while I just literally suffocate. So I wonder how many other schizoids, if that
I've been
one
getting
brings
I've
up
been
that
getting the
dream.
messages sent to them like
Yeah.
through dreams. Yeah, man, I don't know. I used to have like fucked up weird dreams when I was little, man. Like there's a few dreams I remember, but I can't quite make sense of them. The one that always sticks with me is like this
Oh, I
dream.
could. I'm great with symbolism.
Yeah, but the one that always sticks with me is like this dream I had where, wait, hold on, it doesn't represent a real event, but it shows an unconscious awareness of a fucked up reality. Yeah, no, of course, Don.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember this dream. I was like really pretty young, and I was like, it was my house that we lived in, well, it was like an apartment, but it had different rooms and stuff, whatever. But it was like the halls of it. It was bigger than where I actually lived, but I recognize it as where I lived, and it was dark, and there was like this tint of blue to it. So like it was dark, but like sort of like when you see night vision, but instead of green, it was like blue. And then I was like, but instead of floors, they were like conveyor belts. Like, so the conveyor belts were moving me around different parts of the house, and I would try to move against the conveyor belt to go back, but I couldn't, and I kept getting like pulled into different parts of the where we lived, and then like because they would like send me in, then rewind and put me in a. It felt like I was on a track, like those track shooter games where you can't control where
Yeah.
It felt like that, and then I remember I woke up because I could feel that there was like some kind of entities or something like about me, watching me as this was happening. And then eventually I remember them being some kind of like vampire type figures, not like a humanoid, but like a more animal looking vampiric thing. And it appears and like it just like it takes me or something. And I remember waking up from that, and waking up terrified as a child. And I was like I think I was more scared, less scared of the vampire, but more scared of like that inability to sort of navigate where I was going, because it felt pretty lucid because it stayed with me. And then the other dreams I
Yeah,
had,
you know what's crazy? You
yeah,
probably were more favorable towards the creature than you were the conveyor belts because the
yeah.
creature took you away from the conveyor
Yeah, I
belts.
mean, honestly, it still scared me. It startled me, but I feel like if I have a memory of being more bothered by like this kind of weird track shooter conveyor belt thing, that I
Yeah,
was
you
just
want to
like
know
I
what happened,
couldn't.
Angst?
Yeah,
That
go
sounds a
ahead,
lot like my
Shadow.
own. That sounds like a lot like my own deal with the demon turned guardian angel,
Yeah,
right? I met, I had my own monstrous figure when I was younger that, promised all these curses and evilness. Oh God, that thing was evil. But later in my life, it was the thing that took me away from the conveyor belts, if you want to go all symbolism.
yeah. And then the other dreams were like weird. So I remember this is a really strange one. This is like a strong childhood memory, and I was like probably like 6 or something. At one point, my parents were kind of not together, um, when I was really young, and my mom was like dating this other guy because my dad had stopped living there, and so he was coming over. She had a friend over, And I remember he was an all right guy. He wasn't like anything bad, but of course I had all this like animosity toward him because I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he here? I don't know him. This is weird. And
Yeah.
and I remember I had walked out. Um, I had walked out and into the living room, and they were watching a movie. And I remember the movie. It's so crazy. It stuck with me, and I didn't know it was this movie until much later in life when I watched it. And you know, and it's a movie I showed you, Shadow. It was Evil Dead, the first one. So, and so in the first Evil Dead movie, oh no, you saw Evil Dead 2.
No, I saw the second one.
Oh yeah, Evil Dead 1, at the end of Evil Dead 1, there's a scene in which Ash is like fighting the big evil thing, and it's like this, but the creatures or whatever, they're all bloated and like they're
Was
zombie
Ash
whatever.
in the first one?
Yeah, yeah.
He was
And
in both?
yeah, it's weird. The first one is like its own story. The second one's kind of like a what's the word? Like it's like a remake of the original almost. Like it's
Oh,
weird.
okay.
But the first one was actually creepier and less funny, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
I remember
creepier.
that.
And well, anyway, in the first one at the end when the monster is defeated, he stabs it with the special sacrificial ritual dagger or whatever. When it falls over, I remember seeing this as a kid. It falls over and it turns into like they make it, it's like it turns into stop motion, and like the body as it hits the ground is made out of like clay and it's stop motion, so like it like hits the ground, just bursts into pieces, and like all the like the guts and all the shit like was like it was just like stop motion like melty shit, like it looked weird. And as a kid, I remember I saw that and I was like, what the fuck did I just see? I had just walked into it and I remember my mom was like, no, you can't see this. Go over there, blah, blah, blah. I'm surprised my mom was even watching a movie like that. She didn't like fucking scary movies. I know that much. And she was probably just watching it because the dude she was talking to or whatever wanted to put a scary movie on or some shit. And so then I remember that scene happens, and then I went back to bed and I started just having like dreams about that, like for a while, of just like sinew and guts and gross shit like that. And I remember it was like I would have intrusive thoughts about things like that as I was trying to go to sleep, and it would make me so anxious. I was just all anxious, and it's just really funny because like I'm older and like it wasn't till like I think I was like 17 or something, or 18, and I watched the movie Evil Dead for the first time. And I watched it, and when it got to the end of the movie and that scene happened, it all just like, oh fuck, it was this movie? Like that's fucking insane. Cause like I figured it out. I was like, cause I always had this weird memory of the scene from a scary movie that was always stuck with me. And then the scene happened, and I'm like, that was the fucking movie I saw when I was 6. That like fucked up my dreams for a while. And it's just interesting because now I'm just like an avid horror film aficionado. And but it was almost traumatic, or I don't know what it was traumatic about it, but something fucked me up about the scene because I didn't see any of the rest of the movie. I just walked into that final scene where he stabs the thing and falls over and splashes all over the fucking ground. It's all like, but it looks cheesy now. You look at it now and it looks cheesy as shit. But you know, I was 6. There's no fucking CGI. Never seen any shit like that. My mom was essentially the type of person that was kind of sheltering me from stuff like that. She didn't let me see stuff like that. She didn't want me to. It's probably why it was so shocking because I hadn't seen much like that by the age of 6, and I think that's kind of what kept my interest and fascination in the macabre and in the disturbing going for the rest of my life to some degree or another. But anyway, all right. Well, oh, what'd you say here? You and Penzi, Schizoid Vision, are helping me understand this condition and myself a lot. I can't thank you both enough. Well, you're welcome, Don. And always remember, if you have money in the coffers, send them my way. No, I'm kidding. But no, for sure, yeah. Like,
He's not kidding.
no, I'm not kidding. But nonetheless, I'm glad it's doing something for you, man. It's good. It's like wholesome to hear somebody that's like 57 is getting some shit out of some fucking dumb shit that I'm making that you would have otherwise not gotten. And I'm sure you've been through years of therapy, and it doesn't cut it because they're not talking about it through the lived experience way because there's nobody really doing that or doing the research. So in any case, thanks a lot, guys. Again, I already said that. Bye, everyone. And as usual, when day is dark, always remember, happy day.